Hello everyone, my name is Faith Jimi-oni and I'll be taking you on risk management today. I hope you enjoy it. Now, what is risk management? Risk management is the process of identifying, treating, and then managing risk. Taking the time to set up and implement a risk management process is like, say, setting up a fire alarm. You hope it never goes off, but you're willing to deal with the minor inconveniences upfront in exchange for protection down the road. Now, what are the benefits of risk management? We have more efficient resource planning, better tracking of project costs, increased awareness of legal requirements, and flexibility rather than panic when changes or challenges arise. There are 5 steps to managing risk. We have identifying the risk. You can use a breakdown structure to list out potential risk in a project and organize them according to level of detail, with the most high level risk at the top and more granular or smaller risk at the bottom. Then we analyze the risk. Once the risk has been identified, it's time to dig a little deeper. How likely are these risks to occur? And if they do occur, what would be the ramifications? Consider factors such as financial loss, time loss, or severity of the impact of this risk. Next, we prioritize the risk. Now, prioritization begins. We rank each of these risks by factoring both the likelihood of it happening and its potential effect in the organization. Then we treat the risk. Starting with the highest priority of risk first, we task teams in the organization with either solving or at least mitigating the risk so that it is no longer a threat to the organization. Then lastly, monitor the risk. Keep tabs on potential threats. This involves clear communication between team members and stakeholders in the organization. Now, we'll be using this process with the company, which I'll be showing us in the next slide. The company I'll be looking at today is Better Buy Technologies. Better Buy Technology is a startup company that provides electronic payment solution that seeks to provide financial technology to the unbanked in Nigeria. Now, the way it's structured in Nigeria, there are certain remote areas where they have no banks or ATMs available. Now, this organization wishes to bridge this gap between such situations. They provide agency banking. That is providing services to these unbanked people to the targeted areas in the country and leverage on a market of about 45 million unbanked Nigerians. The company was started in 11th of October 2020, so you can see it is still an upcoming company with a group of 6 directors, which has now increased to a staff size of about 25 people, and they have about 150 POS devices currently on field with their agents. Now, some of the services which they offer would be explained in the next slide. Now, they have services such as card withdrawal, cash deposit, bill payment, and money transfer. What is card withdrawal? Card withdrawal is basically the process of how an ATM works. Just in this case, we're using a POS device instead. The users take their ATM card to these agents and get cash in return. Then we have bill payments. Here they pay for services such as their cable, their water, their light bills with the same POS device as well. Then we have the cash deposit. Cash deposit, where someone brings in a wad of cash which they have and deposits it with the agent, and the agent in exchange credits their bank account. Then we have money transfer, where you can either come with your cash or your card and you try to send this amount to your loved one or basically anybody you need to send money to. Now, what are their risks? We'll be looking at that in the next slide. The first risk is unauthorized transactions, then data security, then their assets, and lastly, competition. Now, processing of unauthorized transaction. Because these agents are located say not within the organization. There are different spots. There's the risk of anybody literally walking up to this either their mobile app or their POS device and doing unauthorized transactions on these devices, that is just taking their cash and or crediting themselves, crediting their account. Now what they've done in this case is set up a multi-factor authentication, two-factor authentication. In this case, they make use of the Google Authenticator service as well as the PIN which the agent know themselves. So this is not a compulsory feature. This is depends on what you set up on your end. So there's still the risk of somebody not setting up that multi-factor on their system. So that is the probability of that happen. Now what is the probability of this risk occurring? There's a high probability, and this is going to be a huge loss on the company if anybody just goes and starts sending amounts to themselves. So this is a high risk as well. Then the second risk is the data security. Now this is where when a user logs in on the device, they store the details of, and when I say user I mean agents in this case, they store these agent details such as their name, their address, their BVN. So this is a social security number kind of in Nigeria. It can be used for fraudulent transactions and such. And such sensitive information are stored on the local device. So when the user logs in, it just repopulates that without having to go and fetch the detail from the database. So by doing this, they have saved themselves a lot of time and cost, I'm guessing. Yeah. So but what they've done extra mile to prevent anybody just going up there to inspect that, it's what they've done now is to encrypt that information with crypto.js. Now what's the probability of this happening? This probability is quite low because it needs someone with the technical know-how, but the severity is quite high. The impact of this, if people have information on their agents, this sensitive information can be quite high into the company. So they have set up this mitigation plan for that. Then the third risk is their asset. So as I stated in the first risk, that these agents are not located on the ground. So these agents are just within wherever they are with the POS devices. This so anything can happen basically. You can run away with the device or run away with the cash they have made and things like that. And mind you, these POS devices are not paid for. They are just given to the agents, and what they get back as profit is the transaction cost. So what they've done now to guarantee that this doesn't happen and this risk there's no loss on their end, is they have set up guarantors. So any agent that comes onto their platform to sign up, they have guarantors likewise created. Now they've gone further to make sure that these guarantors are not fake. They have so when you're setting up these guarantors, they have an AI system called Amazon. You're making use of this AI system called Amazon Recognition Systems, an open source API used to validate the guarantor's passport against their means of identification, which can be an international passport or a voter's card in this case. So to make sure that this is actually a real person, they have gone through that. So the probability of someone actually running away with their device is a very high probability, because people are not trustworthy these days. So they have set up this mitigation, and the effect on their organization is going to be quite high, because the cost of these devices doesn't go less than, say, in Nigeria, that's say 70,000 naira. In dollars, that would be around, let's say, about $200. It's not much in dollars, but in naira, that's quite a lot of money. Now the last risk, that is going to be competition. Now because they are new, there are a lot of competition that already exists in the market. They have people that have existed for quite a number of years in that market. Now, how are they excuse me, how are they going to stand above these competitions that might run them from the market? They have studied these competitors and seen that there's less commission. So now they've come with the thought of giving more commission to agents to kind of attract agents to use their services instead of the competitors' services, as well as because there is small group of people just starting up, they are readily available to their agents anytime, in comparison with the competitors, which have they have a huge workforce, so they can't really attend to everybody frequently. They are just starting out, so they can always help out with this this risk, let's say. Now, the probability of this happening, competitor running them, is we say medium to low, but the severity is still high as well, because once you run them out of business, they've lost basically everything. Now, what are my final thoughts on this? With the organization's current size, I think they have identified and put medications in place for possible risk. But there's the question of what happens when they eventually expand. Other risks that we did not consider, such as assets other than their peers' devices, such as when they eventually all move to a building, such as say any building risk basically. Then loss of key skills, losing employees. They have to think of how to provide more benefits to their employees. But technology breakdown, with the expansion, there's going to be an increase in the number of users. There's going to be a huge workload on the server. What happens when the server crashes? Did they consider all that? Now, excuse me. It's better to start identifying these threats that can come up in the way of their growth and put plans in place to mitigate them at this level when the company is still at a startup. So that's my view on that. That they can start thinking of these risks that may arise in the future and start setting up things in place to prevent them. And I think that will be all for today. Thank you everyone for listening. I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you.